I think I'm live. Hi everyone, welcome to another one of our LinkedIn live events. We are having this after 3 weeks. The last live event that we had was in December. So this one is in 2025 January. So a very happy new year to all of you. One of the resolutions that I've actually made for this year is to show up on the live events at least one time every week. And if not one, I'll try to actually do two. But in case I'm not able to do two, I will at least try my best to do one. Now, before we start anything, I'll just check if my audio and video is fine. Today's topic is actually going to be on overcoming people pleasing and forming strong boundaries. This is a topic that I've helped a lot of my clients heal from. And I'm using the word heal because people pleasing, unlike what other people believe, is not really an issue that you have control over. It's a result of a childhood wound that is left to fester, and then you have this compulsive need to people please, compulsive need to self sacrifice, and other things. So, we're going to discuss all of this in depth. And by the way, if you are someone who is unable to watch the complete live event, I upload the recordings of every live event that I do on my YouTube channel. So, you can just go and watch it there. It's actually for you guys only because a lot of you are professionals, and I know that you all don't really get the time to come on live and watch the entire thing. Also, if you have any questions while you're watching this live event, you can either comment down your question, like wherever you're seeing this live event from, or if you're watching this as a recording on YouTube, you can put it in there, or you can just DM me on LinkedIn, or if you are in any of my free communities, and I have three free communities, so you can just directly reach out to me on WhatsApp. Okay, let me see if we're live. I think I am. Yes. I'm live. So let's go ahead. If the lighting is a bit weird, please forgive me because I am taking this live event from my hometown, not really my place in Bangalore, so the lighting is a bit weird. Anyway, let's start with today's topic. Now, the very first thing we're going to understand what people pleasing really is. Now, why we're going to understand that first, because people pleasing is not just the inability to say no. That's not people pleasing. There are different various forms of people pleasing. So I'm gonna be, explaining to you that if you ever see me, if you ever notice me looking down, it's just me looking down at some pointers that I write down so that I don't miss, covering anything. Now, the very first form of people pleasing is unable to say no, right? And this is a fairly obvious one. When I say unable to say no, what do I mean? This means that, for example, let's say you are in a group setting, right? And you believe that something is expected of you. You don't want to do it, but you feel this compulsion to having to say yes. So, for example, let's say that you are in, it's in a family setting, okay, everybody wants to go for dinner and you don't really want to go, right? You're not feeling all right, but because everybody's saying yes, you feel this compulsion that I also have to say yes, so you end up saying yes. You don't really know how to say no, or when the thought of no comes in, you feel like a lot of anxiety in your chest, or you feel that I just don't know how to say it, or I'm scared what will people think, that I'm too special, or that I'm, not really uh, a family person. So there's this whole lot of equations going on in your head and you're unable to say no. Or for example, let's say that there is a friend that you have who keeps on asking money from you. Now you don't really want to give the money, but you feel that if I say no, this friend of mine will stop liking me. This friend of mine will think, oh my god, he's so selfish or she's so selfish. Or this friend of mine will think that I'm not really a good friend. So you attach a lot of meaning to no instead of just sticking to the no, right? You don't really know how to say no, because for you, no doesn't just mean no, it means many other things. There's a lot of background noise going on. So that's the most obvious form that you are a people pleaser. Now, see, people pleasing doesn't always mean that you are a submissive person, or that you are someone who is not communicative, or you're not confident. None of that is, connected. I know extremely confident individuals, very outgoing individuals, very successful individuals, very rich individuals who are unable to say no because they feel this pressure. right? So people pleasing does not mean that you're not confident or you're submissive, right? Because some people have this thing that, oh no, I'm a very confident individual, I'm just saying yes because I want to, and in reality they're actually being a people pleaser. So please do not confuse people pleasing with lack of confidence, right? uh, People pleasing can be there for underconfident individuals, yes, but it is not exclusive. Like, there is no connection. Very confident individuals can also have people pleasing tendencies, right? Because these two are a bit separate, they're not very interconnected. Now, the second thing, something that goes very unnoticed, and something actually you all would notice in a lot of your parents. And if you are from the boomer generation, or you even millennials, right? Like, if you are a millennial, you would see it in your parents, and a lot of you would also have it. It's called engaging in unconscious self sacrificial behavior, which means that it is very, very easy for you to self sacrifice. So, let's take a small example, okay? Let's say that you and I, okay, whoever you are, we are planning to meet for lunch, okay? And I want to eat seafood, for example, and you want to, let's say, eat Italian. Okay, let's say that you want to eat Italian food, and usually Italian food does not consist of seafood. So let's say you want to eat Italian, and let's say I want to eat, let's say, when I said seafood, right? So let's say Japanese, okay? And we are making lunch plans, and I'm saying that, oh, you know what, I really want to eat Japanese. And instead of you saying that I want to eat Italian, you end up saying that, oh yeah, yeah, let's eat Japanese. You don't want to eat Japanese, you don't like Japanese, but it is so easy for you to just agree with me, right? So you are a very agreeable person, right? Even though you may not want to do what I want to do, but it's just very easy for you to let go of your own choices, right? Similarly, for example, and this happens in group setting a lot. For example, you're in a group and you want to do something else and everyone else wants to do something else. It is very easy for you to just let go of what you want to do. Now, there is a confusion here that happens to a lot of people, and this is something I've dealt with a lot in my private one-on-one coaching clients as well. So recently, I was helping one of my clients resolve his people pleasing tendencies. So he said something very interesting. So he was telling me how, he doesn't really engage in a lot of things that he wants to do, and his days usually go by in, doing what his friends want him to do. So I asked him what's the reason. So we were having this conversation, and he said that, Rianshi, I don't really have a preference. Or, it's not like I really want to do what I want to do. So I just say yes. Now, this is a very good way your brain tricks you into believing that you are not being a self sacrificial figure. See, an individual who's not a people pleaser, right? An individual who really values themselves, and we're going to go into detail why people pleasing exists. They will always assert themselves, right? They will always tell you that this is what they want. Later on, they may come to a middle ground with the other person, but they will not let go of what they want very easily. Okay, I want you to understand a subtle difference. Often people pleasers tend to believe that, I don't have like a very strong preference, so let me just go along with what everyone is saying. But it's a very conniving way of people pleasing, right? It is a very tricky, very clever way of people pleasing, wherein your brain tricks you that, oh no, it's not like you wanted something, so let's just agree with everyone because it is safer, right? You won't have to have any conflict with someone, or you won't have to disagree with someone. And people pleasers hate disagreements. They want to run away from any disagreement, they want to run away from any conflict, they want to run away from any point in a conversation where they had to take a stand for themselves, right? Because that feels so difficult for them. So they convince themselves that, I am okay with what everyone is saying, that it's not like it's a bad thing. So that's what they do. In reality, someone who's not a people pleaser would say out loud. For example, if I want to eat Japanese food and you want to eat Italian food, you would tell me that, you know what, Rianchi, I feel like having Italian food. And then we may both come to a mutual agreement that, okay, you know what, let's go to a food court where you can also find Italian food and I can also find Japanese food. Or maybe let's forget Japanese or Italian, let's do something else, right? That is what usually happens when two confident individuals who are not people pleasers are talking. Whereas for people pleasers, they are able to engage in self-sacrificial habits very easily. And these are very common things I'm talking about, right? The major thing when it comes to self-sacrificing habits, you're gonna have to excuse me, I have cold. So what happens with self-sacrificing habits with some people is that they tend to come out in relationships a lot. For example, if you are a people pleaser There's a very high chance that it started in childhood for you, which means that usually what tends to happen is that people pleasers who are people pleasers to their friends or partners, they start in their childhood with their parents. They were first people pleasers to their parents, right? It is usually the case that we see, not always, but usually. So what tends to happen is that people who, like adults who are people pleasers, they tend to do that with their parents also very easily. Like for example, if their parents are saying that we want you to marry this person, even though this individual may not want to marry this person, they will say yes, that oh, at least this may make my parents happy, or it will not result into any conflict, or it's not like I have any preference, so let me go ahead with my parents, so at least it'll make them happy, right? So they will not put their point forward. In fact, I have also had clients where I've worked with them, wherein they are unable to take a stand for their own relationship for of years because they feel this strong people pleasing tendency towards their parents, right? And this may also happen in relationships, wherein uh, it's very easy for you to give in to what your partner is saying, right? It is very easy for you to give in to, that okay, this is what the plans he has made or she has made, so let me just say yes, it's going to make him or her happy. So over a period of time, you don't really know what you actually want anymore. And this is another thing I'm going to talk about in terms of people pleasing. I'm digressing from topic a little bit. One thing that happens to people pleasers a lot is that they will often tell you, and if you're a people pleaser, you will have this, you don't actually know what you want from life strongly. Like, it has happened so many times where I've asked my people pleasing clients, what do you actually want? And they said that I'm okay with anything, or I don't really know what I want, or I wish someone would just tell me. Why does that happen? Because you have done people pleasing for so long in your entire life that you yourself somewhere have lost your own identity, so you don't really know who you are, you don't really know what you want, right? And that is why when it comes to people pleasers, developing their identity actually starts after they start doing their inner work, after they start doing childhood trauma healing, after they start taking up coaching. That is when they start to understand who they are. It has happened to so many of my clients, where my clients have told me that, Rianshi, I never really knew who I was until I started working with you, because I finally started paying attention to my needs over moms, dads, my partners, and my in-laws and everything else. So when people pleasers, start doing childhood trauma healing, right, which is a major part of overcoming people pleasing, they discover a whole new identity of themselves. And that is when they truly start to become confident, because they finally know who they are and what they want. Because as a people pleaser, when you have spent your whole life just catering to other people's needs, you don't really know who you are. So it's so easy for you to let go, right? For example, if I go into a Baskin Robbins store for an ice cream, and I have never tasted anything apart from vanilla. And why have I only eaten vanilla? Because let's say uh, my family wanted me to eat vanilla. Like they never asked me, they never bothered to ask me. So I've always eaten vanilla. So it is so easy for me to just say that, oh, either I will take what everyone is taking, or I will take vanilla. I have no opinion of my own, right? Because I have never really tried enough ice cream flavors to say that I like this and I don't like this. So when that happens, it is very easy to engage into self-sacrifice, or it is very easy to say that I will agree with whatever is going on, because you don't know who you are, right? Now, the third point I want to talk about is lack of boundaries, or feeling guilty when you have to form boundaries. Now, what is boundaries? Boundaries are not always telling people directly that this is what I want and this is what I don't want. Okay, that is one form of boundary. Boundaries are also subtle, right? Boundaries are also in day-to-day life. For example, let's say you call me up, okay, at 10 p.m. and you tell me, Rianshi, let's go out. My answer to you will be no. I'm not going out at 10 p.m. After like when it hits 10, I want to prepare for my sleep. Whereas let's say that I'm a people pleaser and you tell me at 11 p.m. in the night that Rianshi, let's go party. I really want you to come party with me. My answer to that would be yes, let's go party. Even though I want to sleep, I will come, right? So forming boundaries is not always an inherent, like an outward yes, or it's not always aggressive. It's very subtle, right? It's an everyday yes or no. Another form of boundary that you are unable to make as a people pleaser is you don't actually have any structure in your life, right? For example, I know what my schedule is. Okay. I know that I don't like to go out after like 10 p.m. I don't like to stay out of my house beyond 12 at all. Or I eat at a certain time and I will not compromise on it. I don't care if someone is coming and eating with me or not. I don't care if it upsets someone. I will tell them that, this is what the routine I follow. I follow this because I respect my body and I respect my timeline. But for people pleasers, they may not have routines, they may not have structures, they don't have boundaries with their own with themselves as well, right? They don't have a routine that they respect, because it is so easy for them to just say yes to anyone. So lack of boundaries also doesn't mean that you have it with others. You also have lack of boundaries with yourself. You don't keep promises to your own self. It is very easy for you to just let go of the promises that you're making to yourself, because again you will just give in to whatever is appearing loud or strong. For example, if someone is making a big deal that, oh no, we have to go out party, this is once in a lifetime party and all you will say yes to that. Whereas someone who's not a people pleaser will say no, that no, I don't care. Even if the world is going to crash tomorrow, I am not coming, because I respect my body and I respect my schedule. You may not say that in the same language, but you will say that with the same certainty, that no, I cannot come, right? So lack of boundaries also mean this. Now, another obvious lack of boundaries is obviously that if someone comes and asks you to push your schedule, you will do that. If someone comes and asks you that, oh no, please, do my work first and do yours later, you will do it. If someone comes and tells you that, oh, can I take this? Can you take something else? You will say yes. Again, you will convince yourself it's not a big deal, but it is not about that. It is not about creating a conflict. It is about, did you even assert yourself? Did you even get, did you even let the other person know why you wanted something, or that you even wanted this, right? For example, if someone comes and tells me that, Rianshi, can you like push your schedule around for, let's say going to a function? Like sometimes my parents have asked me that, and my answer to them is also a no. No, it's not going to happen, right? There doesn't have to be an explanation around it, but it is not going to happen. It's not like I cannot do it, but the point is that I have made certain promises to myself, right? And if I am not keeping promises to myself, then who am I really? I don't know who I am, because I can't follow through my own word. So lack of boundaries happens, and again, a major feeling behind lack of boundaries is guilt, right? Feeling guilty. Oh my god, it's not a big deal, let me just say yes. For example, if my parents come and ask me, for example, I'm supposed to leave for Bangalore in a couple of days, right? I'm in my hometown right now. Let's say my parents come and ask me that, Yanshi, can you just stay for like one more week? Like, come on, let's stay and we will have a good time and everything. There are two ways it can go, right? One is, I say, tell them that, mom, dad, it's just not possible. I want to get back to my routine, right? The next is, I tell them that, yes, yes, I will, stretch my stay for 1 week. And when I say yes, what is going on in my head could be, oh, my mom and dad are asking, I don't want to be a bad daughter, they're just asking for so less, let me just give it to them. And for the next 7 days I may struggle with my schedule because I'm not in my environment, right? I will sacrifice, right? I will convince myself, oh, it's so little, because I feel the guilt that maybe I'm not being a good daughter. So what other people want is more important to me than what I want, even though these are the parents in question I'm talking about. So people pleasers often feel guilty. Why do they feel guilty? Because they believe that what other people want, even if it is the closest ones, is more important, because they're somehow more valuable than you, right? So here I believe that what my parents want is more valuable than what I want, right? What I want is, I want to get back to my routine so I can get back to work. What my parents want is, you know they want me to stay with them. Now it is not the case of respect, or it is not a case of that I don't value them. It is a point of, did I even tell them why I want whatever I want, right? And what people pleasers do is, they let their generosity get abused as well, right? It is okay to be generous sometimes, but if you're generous every single time, then it's not generosity anymore, right? It is a habit. And if you are compromising on your needs and what you want all the time, then it's not really you being a good person anymore. It's just a habit, it's an addiction, because you want to appear good, right? You want to be in the good books of people. And another feeling that tends to happen when it comes to people pleasers is they are very afraid of appearing selfish. They're very afraid that if I do this, people will think I'm self-centered, people will think I'm selfish, people will think, oh, she doesn't care about anyone else, or he doesn't care about anyone else, or this feeling of not gratitude, obligation masked as gratitude. For example, I can't tell you how many clients I've spoken to who believe that, and who have said this to me, that actually my parents have done so much for me, and I'm just so thankful for them. So I will sacrifice my relationship, I will sacrifice my career for them, I will sacrifice this. And I have to tell them that it is not love, it is not gratitude, it is this burden that you feel, this burden that you feel that you have to return it to your parents, right? So often, people pleasers feel that one is that they don't want to appear selfish. They believe that if I ask for what I want, if I put myself first, it means that people will think I'm selfish, and I don't want people to think that about me, right? That image issue. And the second thing is, people feel that, you know, it's like a form of gratitude that I'm expressing if I'm sacrificing myself. But in reality, gratitude does not come from a place of, this heaviness, that, oh my God, they have done so much for me, so this is so little I'm doing. Gratitude feels very good, very expansive in your body. But what people pleasers experience is obligation. Obligation that comes from a place of, I don't want this other person to think that I'm not generous, or that I'm not giving back what they gave to me, right? And this is often a programmed thing in your head, right? You have been raised up by your parents to believe that, and again, good parents usually will not do that. They will not make you feel that they've done so much for you, because it's a parent's duty to provide for the kids, right? It's not there shouldn't be a sense of obligation. There should be gratitude, but not a sense of obligation. And people pleasers often grow up with this belief that, oh my God, my parents have sacrificed so much for me, so let me also sacrifice for them. And they confuse it with gratitude, but in reality it is not gratitude, right? It is this, uh, you know attachment to sacrifice, continuing the same behavior that the parents continued. Okay, now before I move on to another topic, which is why do people pleasers actually exist, let me just see if we have any questions so far. Okay, I don't think we have any questions so far yet, but in case you do have any, feel free to either comment down or just DM me. Okay, now let's understand, why do people pleasers exist, right? How do people pleasers, come about? Why do they engage in such behavior? So as you know that I'm a childhood trauma and intergenerational trauma coach, so the work that I do with my clients is very deep, very transformational. It is not just normal talk therapy, or just talking and motivating you. All that nonsense is something that we don't do. So that is why the perspective that I will be giving you is going to be a trauma informed perspective. So I want you to listen carefully, and I want you to analyze yourself. Okay, I want you to develop the brain of a coach, because I want you to be able to coach yourself out of situations. Okay, something that I teach my clients as well. And excuse me for my cold, I have a really bad cold right now. Okay, now, the first thing that we often see in people pleasers, and again, it may not apply to everyone, is that they often grow up with very dominating parents. What do I mean by dominating parents? Parents who always told you that this is how life is and this is how you're supposed to live, right? This is how things should be in your life. So, growing up, you were always told what to do, you were told what to think, you were told what to feel. And every time you tried to express yourself, you were either scolded, you were either beaten up, you were emotionally blackmailed, or you were told that what you're thinking is wrong, or you are not actually smart enough to take decisions for yourself, right? So, you had very dominating parents wherein you were always told what to do. And when a kid grows up with dominating parents like that, they actually, first of all, stop believing in themselves. That's the first thing that happens, because they are told from young age that you don't know enough. Like, why are you thinking for yourself? We are here, right? So you don't know enough. So such a child starts to shrink. Okay, so such a child does not really know how to take space, how to ask for what they want. right? What they want, or whatever it is that whatever the decisions they want to take in life. So they start relying or looking forward to other people. Second is, when you grow up with dominating parents, you're somewhere always looking for their approval, right? You're always looking for their approval, and you know that if I don't agree with mom and dad will not love me, or that if I ask for what I want, then mom and dad will think that I'm not being a good daughter or I'm not being a good son. So you start becoming very compliant as a person, right? You think that in order to keep peace in the family, let me just comply with everything what mom and dad are saying. So you become very compliant. And growing up also, you are very compliant, right? You must have seen some people who just agree with everything, that yeah, I'm okay with this, I'm okay with that. Like they will try to avoid conflict at all costs, right? Because they have seen conflict growing up, and they're very scared of it. So such kind of people pleasers are very afraid of conflict, because they've seen it growing up. They've either seen it between their parents, or they've seen their parents, being abusive towards them. Or another aspect of this is also, emotional blackmailing and guilt tripping. So when you grow up with parents who emotionally blackmailed you and guilt tripped you, oh, we have done so much for you, can't you do this much for us? If you we have done this much and we have done that much. So they guilt tripped you for everything, right? So that guilt becomes a very strong part of you. And whenever you think about yourself, that guilt comes in. Oh, no, no, let me not think about myself. I'm being selfish. So you are told again and again, when you're told again and again by your parents that you're being selfish, or don't think about yourself, think about us, think about other people, that becomes a dominant behavior. Because what happens is that a child is like a clay, okay? And the way you mold the child, that is what an adult actually becomes. And that is why one of the aspects of inner child healing, which I do with my clients, is actually us going traveling back in time and helping that wounded inner child who has started to believe that he is not important. So when you have extremely dominating parents who have always told you this is what is right and this is what is wrong, right? Or they've always like made it very clear that if you don't do what we ask you to do, you will not be a good son or you will not be a good daughter. So their love clearly is conditional, right? And you absorb all that, right? Kids are very intelligent, they absorb everything. So when that happens, a kid starts to believe that what I want is not important, right? What mom wants or what dad wants is more important. And if I do what mom and dad wants, they will love me, right? And a child just craves for love. For them, love is safety. So that is what they become like. And that is why even as adults, when I'm dealing with people pleasing adults, I know that I'm not dealing with adults, I'm dealing with wounded inner children. So when you are a people pleaser, I want you to know that there's no need to criticize yourself. You're not doing it out of something that you like. It is not something you're choosing, and I know that. So please don't criticize yourself. It is the wounded inner child that you have inside who's deeply hurt, who feels alone, who feels that I need to agree with whatever is happening, because if I don't, then people will not love me. The second point is when you were rewarded for self sacrifice, or when you were continuously asked for self sacrifice. And this is a very pivotal point for women, also a lot of men, but specifically for women. Why? Because in our culture, women were always told to sacrifice themselves. And it happened in very subtle things, like they were told that, serve the men in the house, or you are a woman, let it go, understand, you are supposed to be mature. This is something, by the way, we also see in elder siblings a lot. Like it is very easy for them to self sacrifice because they are told always that, oh, you are the mature one, let it go. Or again, I would say it is not, I won't say just elder siblings. Yes, it may be prevalent more in elder siblings, but I've also seen it in the younger siblings as well. So I think we can't make a generalization here. So when you grew up being rewarded for sacrifice, right? For example, uh, you never used to ask for anything from your parents. You were very adjusting, and your mom and dad would always praise you for it. Oh my god, this kid of mine is so adjusting. Like he would give away, she would not make any fuss, she would agree to everything, and she's such a nice kid. So you are rewarded for keeping quiet, you are rewarded for agreeing with your parents. So this tendency becomes even more, right? You start to think that when I am a people pleaser, right, I get rewarded for it. People think very highly of me. And that is how your brain starts to function. You start to think that if I'm not a people pleaser, I will not get the praise that I got all my life. So you're rewarded for your self sacrifice. Or you're always pushed towards it, that, oh, wait, just you are so mature, you are this, you are that. You're always told to sacrifice. This happens to women quite a lot, right? You're always told that sacrifice for this, sacrifice for that. Or even as adults, you're told that sacrifice for your relationship. It's okay. You should be the adjusting one. You should be the understanding one. So when you're constantly pushed towards there, people pleasing becomes a part of you, right? Again, here when I'm dealing with a people pleasing adult, I know that it is a child who feels that I am being praised for this, which means that I am being loved, which means people pleasing is a safe thing for me. And if I don't do it, I will not get the praise and love from mom and dad and other people. So maybe I will not, feel safe anymore. So let me not ask for what I want. Because in our society as well, usually kids who are rebellious, actually, I won't even say rebellious. It's the kids who ask for what they want. They're termed as rebellious. They're termed as difficult. They are termed as, this is a kid who makes a lot of fuss. But in reality, that's just a kid who's asking for what he wants or she wants. So self love is an act of rebel in our society. How funny is that? How insane is that actually? I think I could say that now when I work with my clients, I'm actually helping them become more rebellious. I'm helping them become more assertive and confident. So the point is that self love and putting yourself first is going to feel rebellious to you when you have been rewarded and pushed towards self sacrifice all your life, right? And that is why it can feel very difficult. Specifically for a woman, it may feel extremely difficult to choose yourself because you're always told to be the mature one, to be the sensible one. And again, it can also happen to men. It is not gender specific because honestly, our culture has spared no gender, to be very frank. So it can also happen to men where you are told that you are the man of the family, sacrifice your dreams, sacrifice yourself, or you are the son of the family. This is something you're supposed to do as a son and stuff like that. So this nonsense can happen to either of the gender. So what tends to happen is that what we are really dealing with is we are dealing with a very small child, right? Your inner child who exists inside of you, uh, who's very terrified of choosing himself because he or she has been rewarded for self-sacrifice all their life, and they're very terrified of choosing anything else, right? And by the way, if you're actually interested in inner child healing, I'm actually doing a boot camp. It's a 4-day boot camp I'm doing in February on inner child healing. It's going to be a very beautiful, uh, you know, it's going to be a very beautiful boot camp where I will help you walk through what inner child healing is, how to heal your inner child, and how to connect with yourself deeply. You can just go to my bio and you can just click there and you will find the boot camp. In case you're unable to find, just DM me IHC boot camp, inner child healing boot camp, and I will send you the link. Okay. Now, the next point is you saw either one or both of your parents sacrificing themselves, right? You saw both of them sacrificing. So, sacrifice comes very easy to you. And you also saw your parents putting self-sacrifice on a pedestal. You must have seen it in some of your parents, right? If not, I have seen it in my parents. Honestly, I think my parents have been the poster children and the poster adults of people pleasing. In fact, something that my parents always tell me is that I think you taught us how to really speak up for ourselves. So I take a lot of credit in that. But sometimes I think that one of the reasons I actually became very assertive over a period of time is because I saw my parents self-sacrifice all their life, and I was like, I'm not doing this nonsense. But coming back to the point, you must have seen in a lot of your parents self-sacrifice, and you know what they will do. And I'm speaking, from experience, not just because I've seen it in my parents, but also I've seen it in so many, like my major clientele are people, above 35, 40. So I'm talking about new parents as well. They self-sacrifice and they put it on a pedestal. They teach you that they have done a great thing by self-sacrificing, right? And when you grow up seeing all of this, and when you are not actually allowed to think for yourself, you also start putting self-sacrifice on a pedestal because you saw people being rewarded for it, and you saw people who chose themselves being called as, rebels, or being called as, oh, this person doesn't think about other people, this person doesn't think about the family, this person is, very self-centered. So when you hear things like that, you think that people pleasing, self sacrificing is the way to win people's love and win people's hearts. This is specifically taught to women, that the more you sacrifice, the more of a woman you are. Right? I mean, I kid you not, that is what the state of a lot of women, are in. And even to men, they are told that the more they sacrifice as a son, right? They're not encouraged that much in relationships to sacrifice. Women are, told to do that, but they're told to sacrifice themselves for their family, for the honor of their parents and stuff like that. So and when your parents tell you stories like this, oh, I sacrificed this much, I gave away this much, So that is how you start thinking that that is what my parents also value, so let me do that. Because you have to understand that um, when you grow up with childhood trauma, right, which most of us grow up with, what tends to happen is that you find ways that you can easily earn your parents' love. You always try to look for ways like that. And whatever is the easiest way you can think of, you start implementing that. So for people pleasers, they believe that if I sacrifice myself for what my parents want or what my parents have taught me, if I agree with everything, my parents will love me. I mean, that would be so nice, right? Because otherwise, it is so difficult to receive my parents' love for whatever reason. Maybe they have their own traumas, they are busy all the time, they don't know how to love me, right? Could be multiple things. So when that is the case, agreeing with parents is the easiest way to earn their love, right? So that's what you do. You start agreeing with everything they're saying without questioning it. Now, the next point is when you were scolded and reprimanded whenever you tried to choose yourself, right? And this can also become very traumatic for you as an adult. It could be very traumatic childhood memory where it could be by a parent or it could be by a teacher, where you try to do something different and you were scolded very badly, or you were insulted, you were looked down upon, or whenever you try to choose yourself, your parents would stop talking to you, or they would emotionally blackmail you. They would tell you that, look, I have done so much, or don't do this, people will disrespect me, you will bring down our family's name. This is a favorite dialogue that I have heard from a lot of my clients, where they have told me that, Rianshi, my parents have told me that if we do this, the entire society will look down on us and stuff like that. So when you are scolded and reprimanded and you are told that what you're doing something is very very wrong, what tends to happen is that you start feeling unsafe. See, a child only understands safety and non safety. And a child only understands safety through love and acceptance, and everything else, anger, being scolded, everything else is makes the child feel unsafe. So, again, sorry for my cold. When you are scolded for choosing yourself, you start to feel unsafe. So, what is the connection you make in your brain? If I choose myself, it is unsafe. If I choose what everyone is doing and what my parents are asking me to do, it is safe. Where will you go? You will go here. Because as human beings, we are designed to always move towards safety. We're designed to always choose a path that makes us feel, safe. Because again, we are survivors by nature. As a homo sapien, your body's job is to protect you, either like from both physical and emotional threats. And this is an emotional threat. When someone does not accept you for what you are being, it is an emotional threat. And when you do that to a child does not know how to protect himself or herself. So a child will just go towards the other choice. So as an adult, when you are a people pleaser, it is your job to heal your childhood trauma. And how it actually goes, like, I'll explain to you in the next 5 minutes. um, the last point I want to cover is one of the a very subtle way how people pleasers are also born is when you felt the burden of saying no. So I'll tell you a very interesting case. I was working with one of my clients. She worked with me for 6 months, and she made an insane transformation in her life after working with me, in her career, in her wealth, in her relationships. Like, it was shocking to me also. Um, so one of the things that she dealt with all her life was that she saw her mother, okay, being a self-sacrificial figure, her entire life, and she grew up in a joint family actually. So she always felt that my mom is already sacrificing so much. My mom is already sacrificing so much. So if my mom is asking something of me, let me just say yes, because my mom does not have any source of happiness, right? If I say yes, it'll make my mom happy, so let me do that. So that client of mine, that beautiful girl, she took on that responsibility of making her mother happy so young. When she was so young, like when we did childhood trauma healing, she was as young as around, I think, 6 7 years old. She took on that responsibility and she had been carrying that her entire life, right? And when I coached her, she was in her 40s, like we just completed a few months back. So when we did childhood trauma healing, she could not stop crying for that young version of her, right? She mourned the loss of her own childhood because her entire childhood went in, what can I do to make mom and dad happy, because they're already suffering. So she felt the burden to say yes, right? Similarly, if you grew up in a difficult circumstance, you saw, let's say, financial difficulties, or your parents saw a lot of struggles for whatever reason, right? It can feel that, I don't want to upset my mom and dad even more, so let me just say yes, because it would actually at least make them happy. So what tends to happen is that here you start to embody self-sacrifice as a habit without even understanding what is happening. Because a child's love is, very loyal, very expansive, very beautiful, you know. And when as a child, when you think that, and when you realize that, my mom and dad's source of happiness could be just me, so the child will do that. The child will decide that I will give up everything in my life to make mom and dad happy. I will make them proud. I will do this, I will do that. So they put aside their own life and they decide that everything belongs to mom and dad, right? Anyway, coming to the next topic, which is how do you actually resolve this. So the first thing I want you to understand about resolving people pleasing is that it is a childhood trauma wound. Okay, it is a trauma wound. It cannot be solved through some tricks or tips. Okay, there is nothing in this world anyone can say to you that will resolve this completely. I will discuss the trauma work part and the practical things that you can do, but understand this very clearly, that it is a childhood trauma wound. Okay, you felt deeply unsafe about choosing yourself, and that is why that wound is inside your body, in your nervous system. And that is why whenever you want to say anything, when you want to form a boundary, notice your body. You will feel palpitations, you will feel something in your body, right? Because trauma lives in the body, right? So it will not get solved through tricks, tips, hacks, or whatever you can read on Google online. I don't care whatever, how many books or podcasts you read. It will only get solved through trauma work. How do you resolve it through trauma work? I'll tell you what I do with my clients. Okay, the very first thing that we do is we actually understand how deep is this wound. How do you understand this? When you book a one-on-one session with me, we are going to do childhood trauma healing. There's one session of that, so you actually experience what it is like. And if the situation demands it, we will either do a traumagram of you. So what is a traumagram? A traumagram is actually a detailed family ancestral chart of you, wherein we see what are the trauma wounds that you've inherited from your family, and what are the trauma wounds that exist in your system, right? In your family system and in your internal system. So that will give us a complete clear roadmap and a picture of what is going on in your life, right? And after that, every session, right, you're going to engage into trauma work and deep coaching, so that you can actually start releasing the pain that you're carrying inside, right? So that will involve healing the inner child, healing your inner child, because that inner child is what is wounded. Second is helping you connect with that child even deeper, so that you can finally understand who you are. And third is reparenting the inner child, which is teaching your inner child how to actually live in this world, how to become confident, how to ask for what this want, how to ask for what you want, right? So this deep work is not going to happen through tricks or tips. It is never going to happen, let me tell you that. Okay, I'm telling you this because I've worked with many people, and I've sometimes gotten requests from people to just do a few sessions, and I always tell them it's a waste of time, right? I will do a few sessions with you, you will feel an instant high, because again, trauma work does that. It makes you feel good instantly. But to actually permanently resolve this, you're going to have to do deep work, right? Which is at least 3 to 4 months of work, right? So that you can actually let go of the pain inside you. So this wound will resolve only through trauma work. So if you're actually interested in doing this work, you can like DM me coaching to book a one-on-one session with me, or whenever you feel ready. Always remember that it is going to resolve through deep work only. So don't beat yourself up if it doesn't get resolved, unless and until you've done trauma work. Okay. Now, let's talk about some practical things that you can do. Okay. I'll cover it in the next 5 to 7 minutes. I think we went on for too long today. The very first thing is start speaking and stop justifying. Now, what tends to happen with people pleasers is that whenever they ask for why they want something, or what is the reason they're choosing something, they start justifying themselves instead of simply saying that this is what I want. Right. For example, I was working with a client last year, and whenever I would ask her that, like, tell me what is it that you want here, she would not tell me. She would justify herself, and I would have to tell her, like, in the middle, that, please, you don't stop justifying yourself. You don't have to justify yourself to me. Whatever you want, it is what you want. You don't have to give justification to anyone. And she would always smile, and over a period of time, she developed that confidence that she stopped justifying herself to me, and she also stopped justifying herself to other people. And that was a beautiful, beautiful turn in her life. But the point is that if someone asks you something, tell them what you want and why you want it. There's no need to justify. For example, let's say you ask me that, Rianshi, why are you uh, conducting a live event at this time? Okay. Let's say you ask me that, and I tell you that because I want to. And let's say you ask me that why this particular time, and I tell you that because this is the time I was free. right? That's me telling you. Me justifying would be, oh, you know what, I'm doing this because this did not work out and that did not work out. It's not like I didn't want to do before, but I just couldn't do it. I feel so sorry that I didn't do this before. If you have any tips, let me know, and stuff like that. So in the second part, I'm justifying myself. I'm appearing guilty, as if I have to like explain my life choices to you. In the first part, I'm just telling you this is why I'm doing it, right? So the energy of what you are saying is very, very important, right? Usually people pleasers have the energy of I need to justify my choices to other people. And people who are confident, who do not have a people pleasing habit, they just tell people that this is what I want to do. Like, I there's no justification behind it. You're not my teacher, you are not my parent, and even if you were my teacher or a parent, it doesn't mean that I have to justify my life choices to you, right? This kind of confidence comes when your inner child feels safe, right? That is why trauma healing is so important. Now, the second one is a bit controversial, but I often recommend it to my clients, specifically the ones who always feel that, it's okay to sacrifice in relationships. My advice to you is test your relationships. Actually say no and see what happens. Often people pleasers have very one-sided relationships where they are the one who are doing all the work. They are the one who is sacrificing. They are the one who is arranging everything. They are the ones who are uh, doing everything, and they think that no, this relationship is going great, right? And the moment they start choosing themselves, the relationship falls apart because this relationship was just in your head. The other person was not doing even 10% of what you were doing. You were the one who were in your la la land, and you kept sacrificing yourself for this person. And this could be anything. It could be a romantic relationship, it could be a friendship, even a parent child relationship. Maybe the relationship you have with your parent is where you keep on sacrificing for them, and they keep on, let's say, asking more and more of you. So it doesn't matter what relationship you are in. Test it, really test it. Say no and see what happens. If you keep on building an illusion, then you don't really have any real relationships, right? You're just convincing yourself. You're afraid to see the truth for what it is. And the thing with truth is that it doesn't stay hidden. One day or the other, it's going to come out, and then you're going to feel it. Oh my God, I did so much for this person. It doesn't work that way. Okay. You have to also test the relationship and see what actually happens. And this brings me to the second point. Please allow the other person to also do things for you. One thing that people pleasers do is that they always give off the impression that no, 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 please, I don't do something for me, I will do it for myself. Or that if someone is doing this much, the people pleaser will feel, oh my God, this person has done so much for me. They feel huge amounts of like gratitude, that is an amount that they shouldn't even feel. Because see, a relationship is two ways. Okay. And again, when I say relationship, I mean every kind of relationship. A relationship is two ways. It should not be 90-10. It's not going to be always 50-50. Sometimes you will give more, sometimes the other party will give more, and that's okay. But if it is 90-10 or 80-20, then something is very wrong. You must allow the other person to also love you, and give them the chance to love you. If you are never giving the other person the chance to love you, if you're never giving the other person to adjust for you, to sacrifice something for you, then how do you know that this is a real relationship? So allow other people to love you, allow other people to adjust for you, allow other people to be there for you. Only when you give the other person the chance to be there for you will you truly see the state of your relationship. That is why so many people end up marrying the wrong partners, and then they feel that, oh my God, I don't know this person. You must allow the relationship to be tested. You must allow the relationship and the person involved to actually be there for you. That is how you know. So allow things. You don't always have to jump in and do everything. Now, the next point is practice your no's. If you find difficulty saying no's, practice it in front of the mirror. Stand in front of the mirror. Let's say you want to say no to your boss, that no, I'm not really available this Saturday. Practice it 50 times if that's what it takes, but practice it. Okay. If directly saying no is difficult, something I advise is that simply make up an excuse that the other person will find it hard to say no to, right? I'm not encouraging lying, okay? I'm not encouraging that, but it is so difficult for you to say no, then find a middle ground. You're going to have to do something, right? So make up an excuse or come up with something that can involve delaying the no. That also helps. When someone is asking directly something of you and you find, oh my God, I don't know how to deal with this, delay the no. Simply say that, can I circle back to you? Or let me just check my calendar. Can I reply to you in 30 minutes? That gives you the time and space to breathe, think about things, and get back to them. Again, All these are temporary things that will work only when the inner work is done, when the trauma work is done. If the trauma work is not done, all of this is not going to work. And your goal should never be to rely on hacks or tips. These are great, okay? These are things you can use, but it should always come from a place of deep sense of safety and sufficiency, deep sense of voice where your inner child feels that I feel loved and sufficient, that I don't need to sacrifice myself to earn someone's love. That is how your voice should be from inside. Now, the last point, and a very important one, is communicate what you want very, very clearly. Something, again, people pleasers are guilty of is that they don't communicate what they want. They just assume that the other person will know, the other person is a mind reader, or the other person should understand. And my answer to this is always is why. Let's say that you and I are friends. Okay, we're meeting after, let's say, a couple of months, and I ask you to come to dinner, right? Which is, let's say, a place which is 12 kilometers away from you. And you come, right? You come for dinner and everything, and you suddenly stop talking to me after that dinner. And you go and tell your friends that, oh, why can't Rianshu understand, it is so far away from my place? How will I know? Maybe I did not have any idea that it was so far away from you. But you should have told me, right? You should have told me that, no, it's very far, Rianshu, I can't actually come. Is there a focus problem in my camera? Okay. So you should have told me, right, that no, I can't actually come. So communicate what you want clearly. People are not mind readers, okay? People are not going to keep guessing what you want. Maybe you do that because your nervous system is hyperactive, because you have not healed yourself, but that is not going to be the case with everyone, right? So communicate. If you don't want other people to call you at a certain time, tell them. If you don't want to sacrifice your work for some household chores, tell people. Tell what you want very, very clearly. And if you struggle with it, work on your self confidence, do deep inner work, but very, very important that you communicate to people, this is exactly what I want, right? That is how people will be able to listen to you. Because again, everyone is very busy in their life, right? They can't keep guessing what you actually want. Now, that is it for today. I'm just going to see if we have any questions so far. And if you want to work with me one on one, simply DM me coaching to book a one on one session with me. And if you want to come for the bootcamp that I'm hosting next month, which is on healing your inner child, you can again just DM me, HIC bootcamp, and I will share the details with you. And I also have, a bootcamp that I've done on healing childhood trauma, and I also have free communities. So all of it, okay, you will find on the LinkedIn bio that I have. The line written is, here is how I help you, and you will find everything how I actually help you, and you will find a lot of free resources there, so you can just go through that. I don't think we have any questions so far. I'm confused whether is it because the session was good, or is it because people just didn't attend it long enough. Okay, I think we don't have any questions. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. The next event that we will be doing is probably going to be on a Saturday. And I do these live events almost every week. If you want to attend it live and actually ask me questions, you can just keep a checkout on my LinkedIn profile. Thank you so much for joining. And if you're watching this as a recording, please leave down your insights in the comment section or any question that you may have. Bye bye.